We've sort of been on a crusade about this case about a man who was possibly an innocent man executed in Texas. The problem is Governor Perry has been blocking the investigation into this. There's a panel that's been trying to investigate, and he, right before they were supposed to have their first meeting about this, replaced the head of the panel and some other members. And the head of the panel, the former head of the panel, who was replaced, says that Governor Perry's lawyers thought that the investigation into this is a waste of time. Now, up until this moment, up until probably the last 24 hours or so, it's probably been more liberal voices who have been speaking out about this. But I found it very interesting that some of the governor's Republican opponents for the governor's mansion are now speaking out, and one of them is Debra Medina. She is the Wharton County Republican chair, and she's running for governor. Hi, Debra. How are you?
Good afternoon, Scott. Good.
It's nice to have somebody on from Wharton County. That's where I grew up.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Me and Dan Rather. How about that?
Small world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a house on the museum grounds as well?
Well, I ought to. My family farm is down there right where Wharton and Jackson and Matagorda counties come together.
Oh, no, right where that is.
So we're right in Ron Paul's district. So
yes, we are.
So tell me about this quote. You said that the governor's behaving more and more like a tyrant. Off with their heads if people don't agree with him.
Well, gosh, we've just seen that, time and time again. I mean, he's messing with boards of regents and people that speak out against him. He seems to take a pretty hard line, and in a republic, I think individual liberty and freedom ought to reign supreme, and instead it's subservience that the governor is looking for. That's not good for Texas, and it's certainly not good in the case of the Texas Forensic Science Commission.
One of the reasons that I brought you on, Debra, is because I know everything I've read about you is that you're a strong conservative on just about every issue that I can think of. And that this is not a conservative or liberal issue. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a common sense issue.
Well, I think, I come from a healthcare background, and certainly people in healthcare deal with death cases. And I imagine in every industry, in the private sector, they would have what we call sentinel events. In healthcare, we call them sentinel events. And any time a sentinel event occurs, there are committees and structures in place to go back and review that carefully. And I think Chairman Bassett has said, this case and the evidence that was used in this case have ramifications not only in this case, but to all the other arsonists that are currently convicted and sitting in Texas prisons. We need to really study this evidence, understand whether it was proper and how it was used, and it may have ramifications for other cases as well. And the governor has gutted the commission. We've got 4 years of institutional memory, if you will, where this committee has been working on this case, looking at the science and looking at the evidence. And the governor, I think everybody that's involved is pretty much drawing the same conclusion,
right,
that he didn't want the evidence to come out.
Well, it's one expert after another, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's one expert after another, and the governor's response so far has been to mock the experts, not to say, what it was that he saw in the court documents that specifically convinced him that this person was guilty. And he's also badmouthed the guy and say that he was a wife beater and somebody who, his final statement on the gurney there was to have a tirade that was filled with curse words, which all of those things, sure, make the guy a bad guy, but do they mean that he should be put to death? And I think that the thing that a lot of people on both sides just want to see happen is, let's find out. If he was innocent, people should know that. If he was guilty, they should know that too.
Well, clearly nothing that we find out today is going to change the course for Todd Willingham. It may change the course, and it should guide our future, and that, I think, is what we're all saying. Let's don't be afraid of facts and evidence, and certainly burying that and gutting the commission.
One of the
undermines criminal justice in Texas.
Well, and again, like I say, everything I know about you is that you're very conservative. And some people have said that the governor is trying to play to the conservative voters in this primary, but I think he's underestimating people. I don't think it has anything to do with being conservative. If somebody is guilty, they should be punished. If they're not guilty, they shouldn't be.
Well, I think we talk, it's criminal justice. The purpose for justice is to punish wrongdoing and to serve as a deterrent. We understand that, and I said yesterday there are crimes so heinous that the death penalty, in my view, is the only just punishment.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is about.
Right, and I think most Texans would agree with that.
reviewing the science, and there's nothing that we can do to undo what has happened to Mr. Willingham. And if the science proves that case was wrong, God forbid it happen again, I'm not taking a position on whether Mr. Willingham was innocent or not. My position is strongly that we must study. This is a critical event. Every death case in Texas deserves full, open study and debate, and the governor is subverting that.
Well, and it sounds like your position is let's find out the truth. Debra Medina, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.